Are you doing your PSNAs every day? No? Uh, yeah, so like it's interesting. I have to admit, like this is probably one of the deepest undocumented rabbit holes that I've gone into ever with Guild Wars 2. Because as far as I can tell, and I've searched, I've looked for stuff, and I've even like there's people that have written some articles about it, and a couple other things. And I've even messaged them, and like how, where, how do you visually understand what you're doing with this? And there is nothing, right? Like other than looking at a map and saying, "Oh, here are your map bonuses," right? So when you're in map mode, you can hover over a map, huh? Where no, I'm not talking about the PSNA guys. I'm talking specifically around map rewards, map bonuses, right? So the only indication that you get, like once you've completed a map in game, is that you see, like when you hover over a map that has map bonuses, it shows you what your next reward is. But there's nothing in game to give you any indication as to what you need to do or how you acquire that map bonus from the map, right? But the idea is that you, sure, go ahead. Sure, that's the map bonus reward profit thing, yeah. But what tells you how many points you've got in a map? Nothing. You can generate 8,000 points and you get a reward for at every 200 points that you generate. So there's 40 rewards to be gained from each map in a given week. And then it turns over. So you can do it again. And you can basically churn over the map rewards as often as you want. But every time you turn it over within that given week, there's something called diminishing returns. So the stuff that you do gives you less points. So doing it the second time is slower, right? But yeah, so but that's the thing, right? So that and so each map has a set of stuff, and there's actually 8 sets of stuff, and it changes every week over a period of 8 weeks, and then it goes back to the beginning again. But the thing is, like, it's a purely background thing. Like, other than telling you, hey, your next map bonus is, and then here's like other rewards. There's nothing to tell you what what you're doing does from a points perspective to give you points to get to the next reward. But doing apparently like just killing stuff on a map will give you points. Killing veteran things gives you more points. Doing events gives you points. Doing, killing bosses and other stuff. If there's a world boss on the map, that will give you points and generate rewards. Like so, doing just about anything and everything on a map will give you points towards the next reward level. And so over the course of a week, if you go to all 6 of the um, packed, was it the PSNAs, the packed guys, right? So one of the 3 options, which each of those packed supply network agents, one of the things that you can buy is a materials um, voucher, right? And you can get 6 per day, which means that within a week you can get like 42 of them, which means that at the end of a week you can basically jump to the most profitable map from that map profit reward thing for that given week, and basically buy all of those materials, and you're getting basically the most valuable set of materials out of the game. So like this week it's Mount Maelstrom. if you get all 6 guys all 7 days, you can basically churn out 40 of them, and you can pull in 14 gold worth of materials or resources or whatever it is that's on there. Did it move? I might need to refresh my page. Yeah, so we're into week 2. It is slightly more profitable, yeah. But the thing is, like, you can collect them. You can collect those things up and then use them in bulk at any time that you want on any map that you want. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah. But by week 4, you could have 120 of these things stacked up, and you can basically redo Malcor's Leap 3 times over if you wanted to, right? If you started today, right? Anyway, so like it was impressive to me. It's like, oh, you get to 8,000 points. There's like 40 different reward items across a whole bunch of maps, and this is specifically to the maps that are in like the core Tyria stuff. There are also rewards and points for doing stuff across a bunch of other things. However, the materials things that you get from the PSNAs don't work on non-core Tyria maps. And so, and then the other thing that I thought was interesting was that sometimes the PSNAs show up, the agents show up on like a level 1 to 15 map. They have locations on a level 1 to 15 map, but the level 1 to 15 maps in each of the zones do not offer map rewards. And the other thing that I also found a little bit startling was it will allow you to use the materials item. So you can, if you're on a, like if you're in Kaladin Forest, you can double click on the material item and it will give you nothing and it will disappear without any warning. Um, but like if you go to Auric Basin and if you, and then you try to use it, it specifically tells you, hey, you can't use it here, which I thought was a bit of an odd thing. So yeah, so that was sort of the thing. But like I said, it's like other than hovering over the map and saying, hey, your next reward is a glacial sliver. You're like, oh, cool. Well, that's interesting. But what is it that you're doing to get that glacial sliver? And like there's really nothing to tell you. And the things will show up as you're doing stuff, right? And I think sometimes as you're doing things in certain maps and stuff, every once in a while there's that chest that appears and then opens up beside you, and obviously you get whatever comes out of that chest, and I'm assuming that it is probably these map rewards that is popping out when you accomplish certain things to acquire that, or like you hit 200 points and you get your thing, right? So I'm assuming that visually you get that cue, like, oh, that chest popped open, I guess I got a map bonus. So that's kind of cool. But there's nothing else to visually tell you where you are from the number of points on any given time. You can go from 0 to 8,000, but there's no counter or anything. There's nothing. There's nothing on the map. There's nothing on the screen. There's nothing on the mini map. Like I'm not sure. It just seems like it's a relatively complicated set of things going on behind the scenes here to have absolutely almost no indication of the fact that it's going on to you as a player. But I mean, the other thing is, I think like in looking at what's happening with the agents, I thought it was actually kind of cool because it is a good way. I don't know, 6 times 5, 30, probably close to 35, 40,000. It is an interesting way to burn 35 to $40,000 worth, 35 to 40,000 karma uh, a day. Right. And that was one of the suggestions, right? I mean, there's also other things that you can do with karma, but I thought that this was an interesting thing about it. Yeah. But So, and then the other thing with the PSNAs is if you want to knock out recipes, they offer a bunch of various different recipes and things that you can stack up as well. Obviously, much more expensive um, of an item versus the Packed Scouts mapping material item. But yeah, so that was my interesting rabbit hole for the week. Because obviously it was not something that I had seen any detail on before. Obviously, like you see it at a very basic level, but then you're like, wow, there's like a lot going on that probably a lot of casual players don't even realize that this is going on. It's like if you're just right. But that's also where like it's also nearly impossible to understand, like, of the things that you're doing, what is generating points, what generates the most points towards getting map rewards. Like, obviously events does it. They claim that certain jumping puzzles and mini dungeons and other things on the maps will contribute to them, but not all of them. So kind of vague, um, in sort of giving you any detail about how you would go about getting through it. But obviously, buying these Packed Scout mapping material bundles, if there's specific maps or specific rewards that you want to churn out, and obviously, like in Corteria, a lot of it gives you things that you can use towards crafting. So, like, a lot of the core crafting, like if you need scales, if you need bones, if you need totems, if you need others, there's typically a map. Venom sacks. There are maps that are basically giving away those sorts of things, and if you need to prioritize something to create a gift that you need or some other thing, then you can basically, yeah, oh, this map I can focus on getting the stuff I need out of that map, and that will move me closer faster to making whatever it is, right? Or, as you said, from a profit loss perspective, yes, you can go to a specific map in a particular week that has the highest payout. And you're right, like week 4 Malcor's Leap, or week 8 Fireheart Rise. Slightly higher return on Fireheart Rise in week 8, an extra 20-ish silver, 19 silver. So, and obviously that change in fluctuates based on the content of that week's stuff. So, sort of kind of need to keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, yep. But I think, like, if you're booking on doing legendaries and other sorts of priority, high volume of material consumption items, then it would probably make sense to focus on, oh, I need fangs, I need claws, I need venom sacks, and basically hit the maps that are churning those particular items out for you, because those are going to move you faster, closer to what you need on those items. None of them give you shards. Just saying. Bitterly disappointed about that, but yeah. But also, if you just look at a particular map thing, you see like 5 things. One, two, three, four, five. Well, 6, I guess. You see the next one plus 5 more. You don't necessarily realize that there's actually an array of 40 things to go from 0 to 8,000. Nor is it there anything to give you an understanding that changes every week on an 8-week cycle and then starts over again. And like it's like, wow, this, like, somebody spent time coding all of this. Right? Like, there's obviously just a lot of code that drives this aspect of the game, and yet eh, we're not going to show you anything. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. He will, however, make sure that you get your map reward if you duly earn it. But that is how I was kind of playing around with it and figuring out, oh, these things work and these things don't. Accidentally, I went to the guy, got the thing, figured, oh, I can double click on it and it'll give me my map reward. And it's like, oh, no, you're on a level 1 to 15 map. We're going to burn it for you anyway. Thanks for clicking. But there's no reward on this map for you. I'm like, okay, that was kind of dirty, but all right. I'll take that one. That was on me. For who? What? Huh? So it. So you have to do stuff on the map to get it, right? And you have to do enough things on map to get to 200 points. And like I said, you can kill stuff, you can do events, you can kill bosses and other sorts of things, and that will grant you points. It has not been made clear anywhere what how much points you get for any particular thing. But I can guarantee that if you do enough stuff, and like for Gandaren Fields, my next reward is a glacial sliver. If you go and do enough stuff on the map, and that can include, um, it will include obviously like the events that happen periodically, whether it's the yeah, the like the ley line events or what's her face with the pirates. There's the pirate incursion events that also happens in Gandaren all the time. The participating in those and killing the stuff will eventually generate enough points to give you the thing. And if you end up with a glacial sliver in your inventory, it basically means you generated enough points to get that reward. But as far as I can tell, there is nothing in game to tell you where you're at any particular time. So, and it's account based. So you can switch and move between characters and do stuff on map, and it basically continues to accumulate. It doesn't start you over or anything else. So, um, yeah, it's about that's what I learned this week or last week, I guess. I mean, like MMOs are notorious for having all kinds of undocumented stuff, or left to the student to discover type of things, right? So, but I don't think I've run into anything that has necessarily been this big for like just conceptually. It just seems like it's a lot that there's this whole rotation of stuff, and it's update that like I understand the reason for it. Like it's a really good thing to understand that there's a driver to bring people back to do stuff on maps. I just don't think there's enough of players in the player base that know and understand what it is, how it works, and what it does, and what you're doing to end up with this thing. I think it's just happening organically for most players, and they don't even pay attention to it. if they've even understood that they're aware of it at all. So yeah, again, like it depends on what you're doing. Like you can be purposely going out to farm, fangs. You can be farming, going out to kill things to specifically farm claws or farm other things. I don't know that people necessarily realize that, oh, there's this other way that you could potentially churn out those types of um, materials. Maybe, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's easy enough to know what drops those things, right? So, yes, you can go and specifically farm those things from that particular what. Yep. Yeah. But I think that's where I think with the PSNAs, and if you're looking for an excuse to burn karma anyway, and like I said, I seem to be very consistently in the millions of karma on hand, right? So, well, yeah, exactly. Or like I said, I don't necessarily need to drive out gold because again, I don't have issues with generating gold in this game either. So it's not about purely eking out the most valuable returns on a map basis, right? It's like, oh, like I know I'm gonna, for some specific legendaries, I know I'm gonna have to create these gifts, right? So if I need a gift of bones, then well, I might as well grab 6 packs of stuff from the PSNAs every day, and then basically churn out those things on the map that's going to give me the most bones if I need a gift of bones or, you know, whatever it is. Because then I can just double click and get the rewards like crazy, right? So, yeah. Or, if I need a gift of venom, then I can just go and do venom sacks and whatever. But, and obviously, like on the more, on the maps that are part of like the expansion packs and everything else, they also do that. Um, and you get a lot of them give you caches, so you'll get some specific items, but you can get a saurian cache, you can get a mushroom cache, you can get a quetzal cache, you can get a vine cache, right? And sometimes those have slightly more lucrative contents. So like right now in Dragon Stand, my next reward is a thorned cache, so potentially more lucrative than just getting a barbed thorn. So who knows? But the PSNA stuff doesn't work in the expansion pack maps. It only works in the Corteria. So on those maps, it won't burn it, and it will specifically tell you it does not work on this map, which I think is a little bit friendlier than sitting on Kaladin Forest and double clicking one and going, yeah, okay, you just lost that. Way to go. It's like nice, but yeah, and like basically all of the maps have that mechanism, except for the latest ones. Unless that's something that they decide to add in later. I'm looking Lowland Shore and Janthier Sentry currently do not show map rewards. And obviously because I've just been digging into this recently, but all the Horn of Maguma maps have it. So maybe it's something that they roll into it, sort of once it becomes a bygone X pack. But literally everything else has it in game. So I think there's still one more map to come. Uh, there's at least one more map. Yeah. True. Yes. Yes. Well, and yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like there's a specific warning if you try to go kind of off that east side of the map, I think, where it says, "Hey, you're not ready to explore this area or whatever." It kind of pushes you back. So yeah, I think they're going to kind of extend Janthier Century, and you can see like it is a little bit smaller than say Lowland Shore. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And again, I not having looked at it in detail during the Soto phase, I can't put any legacy experience towards whether Soto didn't have it and then got it once, sort of the complete expansion pack was posted. But that would make sense to me. It would make sense to kind of bake that whole system in behind uh, once the whole thing is basically in force. So yeah, totally makes sense to me. The fact that they don't make it more obvious to people still lack completely blows my mind. Alrighty. Uh, so where are we at? Do we want to do? We got Mount Balrior, Balrior, Mount Balrior. Convergence coming up at 10 o'clock. Do we want to jump in on that? Since I think doing a bunch of them is one of the specials. I think at least it is for me. I don't know how often you've done it, but did you? I think you have to do it 5 times to complete it. Okay. Well, that's kind of bizarre. Like that. Does that mean if yeah, but yeah, but when it gets added, it doesn't have any history to it. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. That's interesting because that's not what I've seen. Like they added the defeat 1,000 enemies in Janthier region. I had already started playing Janthier like from day one and did a whole bunch of stuff. But as soon as they added it to the Wizard's Vault, it was at 0 of 1,000. And now I'm at 770 of 1,000. So I know I have killed 770 things since they added it here. I didn't think it looked back and said, "Oh, you've already killed 1,000 things. Here it is." I have you? All right. Well, you're obviously giving ArenaNet way more blowjobs than I am. I have never seen one work like that for me. They always show up as 0. Yeah. Well, because I completed the the initial story from the when it went live day one. I completed the full story thing, and I did a whole pile of events. And sure, I did the renown hearts once or twice, and then I because I was working on those other legendaries and other sorts of things, I just kind of put Janthier away, right? and I wasn't doing it. And then they added that thing, and it was at 0 of 1,000 when they added it. So all that stuff that I killed to get through the story and do all the events and the stuff during that first, week, maybe 10 days, when I basically blitzed it, and then quickly moved on to other things. None of that counted to my kill 1,000 things for sure. You have definitely spent more time in Janther than I have, and certainly logged way more frustration at at a few of the items. And like I said, there's still a number of things that continue to um, surprise me in the workings of what they've done with Janther. So the whole thing about basically repeating the hearts 14 times and doing events, getting hearts that you can use to basically finish the hearts is a odd boggling mechanism. The fact that you can basically talk to the heart guys and interact with them as a merchant without completing the heart, also kind of boggling compared to previous chapters. Like it just it's I realize with MMOs and X packs, it is a game of games, right? They're always trying things, doing things in different ways. I guess to figure out what catches on with people or doesn't. So, yeah, exactly. What drives engagement? So, because I think there's probably a lot of cases where, at least from a renown heart perspective, when it comes to the maps, I forget which expansion pack they started doing the repeatable renown hearts. But I think in a lot of cases, like people would unlock it for the first time, and then you might go back and redo it again if you have to specifically buy something from that vendor because they're locked if you don't complete it, right? So that's why I thought it was kind of weird in this X pack. It's like, oh, I can still talk to the heart guy and I can still open the merchant panel, and that gives you the opportunity to basically finish the heart again using the hearts that you've acquired. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. But the fact that they give you an achievement track to specifically redo it 14 times, I'm not, again, why 14? Not, but I'm not sure. When I looked at all the renown hearts, I think they're all the same. I think they all go to 14, I think. 3, 6, 7, 14. Yeah, I think they all go to 14. So they're all identical. At least they're consistent for the Janthier ones, at least. My completion of them is certainly not consistent. I have anywhere from 4 to 12 across 4 to 8 across each one, but I am, yeah, I'm sitting by the Mount Balrior doohickey. We're not, are we? Yeah. This has been definitely a popular convergence. So I've never seen a shortage of people doing this one for sure. Yeah, and to be honest, I have not done the other convergence since this one was released to know whether it's gone up or down on that one or not. The thing that I find odd is that I rarely ever see it on the event timer page for whatever reason. And in another thing I was looking at, it almost seemed like they were running them simultaneously, but that does it's certainly not the case from the event timer page. Yeah, that's why I thought it was set up to be timed in the opposite of this. So the thing is, like, this is coming up like within the next minute or two, and it's showing. Actually, it's starting now. So click into that. Okay, now I see. Okay, now it's moved, and now the other convergence has showed up at 11:30. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Yeah. The other option is to do a few rifts, 2, 3 rifts. You'll knock out 100 cryptus as well. I don't know. I like doing rifts. If convergences were a slam dunk, I would agree with you. I mean, obviously, if you're just trying to kill 100 cryptus, yeah, success or fail, you're definitely going to kill the 100. Yeah, see, I've had it fail a lot more than that. I mean, it's definitely it's not it's significant for me, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to have something that tallied the number of convergences completed. It's not necessarily. I don't. You. I would assume there's probably a good chance you've done a lot more of the Soto convergences that I have. But I think like I ended up with like 2 or 3 that I did back to back that failed, and that kind of just totally put me off of it because it burns a lot of time. And yeah, but the time, whether you do it quickly or short, it doesn't factor into whether you blow it or not. It's the people not knowing what to do that blow it, right? So yeah, potentially. Yeah. I, I mean, I've been in a number of them that have also taken the 20 to 30 minute range. It hasn't necessarily made it more or less likely to be unsuccessful. Um, I mean, really, it's just people not understanding that you need to get essences to the essence junkie that drives the problem. So it's two things. It's understanding what causes the boss to drop essences, and understanding the priority of collecting those essences and delivering them to the essence junkie. And it seems largely straightforward. That's all I'll say. And she gives you a lot of warning signs to say, hey, you need to give me essences. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think the challenge is that those things fail, and it burns, even if it's 12 or 13 minutes and you blow it. That's just a lot of time to burn in this game to end up with literally zero. Yeah, like that's where I'm kind of challenged, is that you really get nothing. And I sort of feel that after, creating that much burn and commitment, you should get more than that. More than SFA. Because, I mean, you did burn a lot of time. Yeah, you get the kills. Maybe you get a few of the, whatever the accumulation um, achievement rewards, if you manage to pull some of those while you're there. So it's not like, potentially not completely bingo, but so I have to admit, like, that I've done this convergence several times as well. Um, it also oddly seems less prone to failure in the way that the Soto one is. Well, I don't know that it's easier necessarily, but it's definitely not designed in a way that it can fail as easily as the other one does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Didn't they? Didn't they bring a challenge mode for private Soto convergence? Yeah, I haven't either, but I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah. Okay. So I guess, yeah, if they weren't thinking of doing that originally and then sort of added it in later as an afterthought, then it was like, yeah, okay, well, maybe you blew it conceptually on the original, but I don't know. You gravitated to the snotty Cubs discussion in this. Well, no, no. You were saying like the thing that bothers you about this convergence is just kind of the the sort of the snotty attitude of the bear cubs in listening to this story. Kind of. But yeah, the idea is he's recounting to the Cubs what we're doing. But hearing it as we're doing, I think the problem that I have, the thing is, you had specifically called it that you didn't appreciate sort of just the way that they had created the Cub characters and their attitude to and responses to the story, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But to be, if I were to be perfectly honest, Stoic Alder is an absolute shit storyteller. It's like, oh yeah, he's recounting what we're doing, but it's just terrible. So I would definitely classify this as the least interesting recounting of an epic battle ever told. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on, Stoic, hand this off. They show the Titan stench as a collectible. Is there any value to actually collecting them? Is it? Well, if there is, all I can say is it stinks. We got Decima at 70%. One thing I do admit that I am somewhat happy about is that they didn't carry over the whole Warclaw roping and chasing mechanic into this battle. That, I have to admit, is probably one of the most annoying elements in the of Mists. I guess. But the problem is it's a pause that's not really doing anything. You're not really, you're not incurring any damage or doing anything in particular. It's like, I'd rather just be killing this thing, but thanks. All right. Okay. Yeah, we're doing the second chase after her stench. And of course, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm using the sky scale, but it's like everybody seems to be able to get there 10 times faster, which is a little bizarre. For crying out loud. And of course, as soon as I drop in, I'm automatically in Wisp form, which is just a shit show. Well, I got Decima at 43%. I'd like to get out a wisp form, please. Of course, I also can't see the things that we're supposed to collect. No, it says that was a waste of time. Yeah, it's like really bizarre. I don't know how that works. Well, I'm chasing a whole bunch of people who are like following the stench, but then the stench kind of ends up disappearing, and then all the players disappear, and all of a sudden they're at the Titan. Like, how do they get there so quickly? Is there? Oh, okay. Why don't they just give you that at the beginning then? Waste of goddamn time. Yeah, I know. You must just give everybody that and just jump right away. Absolute bullshit mechanic. Otherwise, why run? Just sit there and wait. Wait for the one idiot to get there, and then everybody can just teleport. Like, why? Like, that's just stupid. Oh, I do it for the repeatable stench. Yeah, all right. So, of course, we're also at a point like we have not seen the entirety of Janthier Wilds yet. I will also admit that I don't think. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly certain that I haven't as yet completed the second segment of the story that was added. I have done parts of it. The like the initial part of it. The story for Janthier doesn't grab me at all, to be honest. So, is Janthier Wilds the worst expansion pack on Guild Wars? Understanding that it's not just about the story. So there's new mechanics. There's the revival of the War Claw in non-World v World usage. I mean, there's there's the maps. There's the like obviously there's a lot happening. I will admit, above and beyond the storyline, and obviously for me, the storylines in general tend to be a bit of a one and done kind of thing. I haven't seen a lot of significant reasons to have to do and redo the specific storyline in some of the other expansion packs, like over and over and over and over again. Yes, there are some elements that require you to but you don't necessarily need to do it on multiple characters. You can replay the storyline on a character several times. So yeah, I don't know. Are they? Okay. That is interesting. I don't know. I thought Path of Fire was really good. I guess, yeah. I could see that. So would you say that those almost have to stay together then? Maybe? I don't know. Or having it, yeah, yeah. True. Okay. Yeah, Ice Spruce Saga was good. I enjoyed that one as well. Um, mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I think the other one that I liked, or at least that I still like and enjoy, is the Champions. I thought Champions was really good. I think there's just not enough. Is it part of Icebird? Yeah, I think like the part that sort of bothers me is that there just aren't enough people continuing to do that, because there's just a lot of content to drive out there, and unfortunately it's tough to find groups to go and continue pushing that. Well, but Dragonstorm is one piece of that, and it's its own standalone thing, really. Like from achievements and other sorts of things, like there's Dragonstorm, right? But the Champions is going in and doing all of the other um, dragon response missions, right? Like there's a whole, yeah, there's a lot of interesting content to churn through there. I struggle to find people that are out there doing it. So I'm actually thinking like either between Comfy Dragons or KSC or one of the, or maybe it'll take kind of spamming it across multiple guilds and or Discord entities to get some groups together, maybe once a week or something to try to drive through all the dragon response stuff because there's a lot to do, and there's variations of the challenge modes on them because I think a lot of them have like sort of a three variations or something of the challenge modes, and you can stack them. So it's another. Oh, I have to do most of them, other than maybe running through them in the standard edition. Some in full. Some of them I've maybe only done partially because I was trying to get at the. I was basically jumping into them just to get at the mastery points that are in those maps, and sometimes you have to progress the the mission in order to get at the part of the map that gives you the mastery. Some and in some cases I completed them, in other cases I haven't. But yeah, it would be interesting to just kind of be able to delve into that a lot deeper than I have. Maybe I think it might be interesting to do like a good group of 4 or 5 people if because I'm sure there's other people that be interested in doing it. And if you're going to do the challenge modes, I have a feeling that maybe 4 or 5 people might be a bit better because I know some of the challenges either amp the damage or nerf your health or other aspects of running those things. So for the moment, I'm just doing the sleuth brawl fields. I'm doing the brawl fields things really to just I want to complete. So it's a couple of things. How's that? No, no. Yeah, got it. Well, I'm going to knock out the Harvest Den heart. Just doing the events in the brawl fields. And several of the things that you fight in here count as champions towards the Sharing the Winter's Day cheer daily. Not all of them, oddly. There's one of the bears that comes out that doesn't count, and I don't know why. It's like, why is he not a champion? The rest of the bears are champions. What's his problem? Still, mm. He's not easier. I mean, go on. Nice. So, have you firmed up any options for New Year's? Nope. Okay. The second. You in slavery now? Is that what happened? Who captured you? Who bought you? Is it? Oh, okay. I go back on the. I agreed to be billable on the Friday. I told them nothing else is really going on of import from my perspective. So yeah. Well, I have another customer I need to do work for, so I'm planning to rack up billable hours on that instead. So I have a expert witness report to do for that thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My report's due by the end of January, so I figured, oh, well, I'll just take like the sort of the Christmas New Year time in that week because everything's in the middle of the week, right? This year, so it's like, I mean, to take the extra couple of days is no biggie. Don't you have vacation to burn anyway, or have you continuously taken it all? Oh, okay. Yep. Hmm. Well, I have to admit, like I when I took on this thing, they didn't make it clear how much stuff there was involved. So I'm not sure if I let you in on the volume of content provided in this particular case, but it was like, holy crap! There's over 10,000 pages in filings between both um, the Dutch company and the government. It's a staggering amount of content. Not unwarranted, but just surprising. I got grabbed by barbed veil. I need a meeting with HR. Exactly. Using this doll, can you please point to where barbed veil grabbed you? And the jury gasped. So yeah, so I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks I'll have basically the core draft of my expert witness stuff prepared, and by the 15th I'll turn it over to the law firm and see if there's anything else that they want me to do. To be honest, they made it too easy. It's like, yeah, they embraced what they got, and they went and repeated the usage of it, and they did nothing to hide it. Like They didn't change the color schemes. They didn't change the iconography that was provided in under the original contract or anything, right? They even left the trademarks for leading practice on the content, right? I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, I think you just don't know how to steal IP. Uh, I think the funniest part of it is the email that basically coaxed the main guy at leading practice to give them what they needed. And it's this email, and it stands out amongst all of the other communications that's in on the file, simply because it has this whole Star Wars theme to it. And the lawyers at the law firm basically called this email the Jedi mind trick. Because the guy at the government basically addressed the guy at leading practice as Master Obi-Wan, and that he was a student, and basically assured him, like he's sort of the student of Master Obi-Wan, and said, like, we've got all this stuff, everything's progressing with the continuation of the second round of the contract, and blah 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 blah. And he says, like, in preparation for moving on with the next phase of this thing, can you send us the basically the spreadsheets that we need to do the risk piece, whatever it is. And basically signs off as your Padawan. And that basically led to the cardinal mistake that leading practice did, was they sent the stuff without actually having a signed contract. So you've basically given away your IP for free at that point. But it was done under an understanding that they were doing it in good faith. So this is the one, Barbed Veil. Or did I get it done? No, I got it done. No, it's 2 out of 3 still. Yeah, see, Barbed Veil doesn't count. I don't know why. Yeah, it doesn't count as a champion. Because you don't get the credit for that one. The previous one counted. Moderately annoying. So, yeah, so that's the main piece behind that case. And then basically, as soon as they got the email with that spreadsheet attached from leading practice, then it became a very stern uh, conversation about their business practices in the whole subscription model concept, the way that they were delivering, um, sort of the continuation of this whole thing. And then it started off that they were willing to have a conversation with them about that business practice, and what would make more sense for government of Canada. But then so I guess they responded to that email basically saying, like, this is sort of what we do with most of our customers, and it's usually works fine. And then they said, yeah, no, we don't want to chat about it anymore, you can go away. And they basically broke off all communications after that. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, they gave you the piece you needed. You had people that were trained from the original contract in understanding and using the content, and so yeah, so you went and just continued using it, and it's pretty obvious, based on what you provided. So yeah, kind of a slam dunk. I think the fact that like the preliminary filing from the government, which was the response, like it's almost 3,000 pages on its own. I was like, yeah, okay, so they obviously understand that they've lost, and they're just trying to snow you with content at this point. Exactly. But in actuality, you can. Yeah, no, exactly. It's a matter of churning through it all and just doing the comparative analysis between, okay, well, we delivered you this, and then you went and did these things. You changed nothing. You even left their trade, like they left their trademarks on the stuff that they created. Why would you put leading practices trademark on stuff that you did as an embrace and extend of the original stuff? Like that's the piece of it that just like boggles my mind. I'm like, you're just not. Yeah, I mean, wow. Pretty humorous. Yeah, no, actually, I was just looking at an X-ray of my humerus. But anyway, that's a separate story. Compared to a lot of other humeruses that I've seen, mostly from manual, bloody hand-to-hand combat extraction of those humeruses, mine's pretty. That's all I can say. I have down some ugly humeruses in my time. That's all I can say. Yeah, no, that's yeah, no, I don't. It's just wrong. Yeah, absolutely. It's just flat out wrong. That's all I have to say. Spring-hearted. This one will count as a champion. Whoop, bitch. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. I have to admit though, like if you want like a good preview of some of the spirit skills within various character classes and stuff, this Brawl Fields is pretty good at giving you a showcase. I like it. It hasn't convinced me that I need to switch to spear on any given character that I have, but it is a moderately impressive. Also moderately impressive that I keep getting killed by it. But anyway, why is nobody helping us on this? Where did everybody go? We had a bunch of people working on this earlier. I guess. No, it seems like. Keep doing a dodge and then getting cut down. Really annoying. All right. Winter's Day spreading the cheer is complete, but I'm still not done on the Harvest and Heart yet. I think I need at least one more. What are you drinking this evening? Very nice. So I saw an interesting tidbit earlier today. This is a specialty liquor store in Moncton, and apparently they got a bottle of Bowmore 1969, barrel aged for 50 years. The bottle comes in a nice wooden case that comes in a crate. It seems like it. I don't know. There was nothing else in the crate when they showed it, and the crate holds the box that the bottle is in, and it looks like it should hold some other stuff, like a shaker, like a bar mix shaker or something. I don't know what else is supposed to be in there, but they didn't show anything else in there, so I'm not. I'm kind of curious about that. But anyways, $55,000 for this bottle of Bowmore. And it's like, yeah. Unfortunately, that's a bottle of scotch you don't buy to drink. You buy to store it for another decade and sell it for 5 times the price. Or more, potentially. Assuming that the entirety of society doesn't come apart at the seams over the next decade, which seems like it could happen in less than a decade, the way things are going. It could happen by February, yeah. There's good point. Yeah. Some distinct indications in that direction, yes. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep. Well, here's hoping for a coronary. Mm, that is true. The multiplicity of that would be definitely beneficial. Oh, is there a brawling category in this? Yeah, I know, I know. Why do these cubs talk like Yoda? Even children don't talk like Yoda. Like, why would you script it that way? Do they? Like who? No, not really. I've just stopped paying attention. Hmm. I suppose. I mean, you can do better dialogue than that. Come on. Hmm. Who is next? I think he just shows headlock at every fight. Headlock! That is not a valid move in this particular event. Headlock! Yeah. Headlock. Who will perform headlock? Huzzah. Ooh, that's spirit train. Exactly. So this is the, like again, one of the things I get roped into catching the odd stupid video. And, I've obviously learned over my time that content creators um, struggle to create content. And I understand that. It's difficult. A lot of content has been created. Coming up with original content is obviously challenging in this day and age because so many people are just doing such stupid shit. And so I haven't stumbled on this video that, at a minimum, it made me smirk just because I understood what exactly it was that they were trying to do, right? So that, there's this couple walking down the road, and as a guy is going by, he basically tries to snatch the girl's purse. So the girl's boyfriend immediately correlates to, being at the gym, working out at the gym, and having that sort of pull um, machine, right? So he grabs onto the purse and he's doing this pull thing with the robber on the purse, right? So like he's got the purse, the robber's got the strap on the purse. And so now another person's walking by and looks over and sees what's happening, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I do like Greco style wrestling." So he runs over and he lays down on the ground, and while the first two are still doing this tug of war pull push thing, he's laying on the ground trying to coax the robber to like get on top of him wrestling style. Right? And then now it cuts to another woman who's going by and sees this whole scene going on, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I can." So now there's like a sign pole that's right beside them, and so she just starts pole dancing on this street sign, and I'm like, I like, okay, I can kind of see where you were trying to go with this, but like, really, no, yeah, no, nobody did see any of that. That's all I can say, and I stand by my opinion there. So, and that was one of the funny things. Do you know Josh? Am I? I am sitting. I'm not at my stand-up desk today. Uh, so one of the things was funny. Do you know Josh Strife? Yeah, yeah. So and he has a channel which is Josh Strife Says, right? I think. Yeah, yeah. So he runs a pretty good channel on his own, and he does stuff that he likes to. He plays games, and he does like some gaming content, right? And like, yeah, yeah. It's, well, no, most like it's 90% game content, and he pulls extracts out of some of the videos and stuff that he does, and some of it's kind of interesting. He's got some good opinions. I'm on side with 99% of his shit. Yeah. So, but one of the things that he said is like he went and did the math, and he said like if he purely did reaction videos on YouTube, basically just watching longer content, longer videos, and doing reaction content videos to those videos, shorter than the original video, like shorter content versions of the original videos as reaction videos. He could he could literally make 45 times the money that he is making now. However, he wouldn't enjoy it. It's not his content. It's not what he wants to be doing or produce and everything else. And so what I thought was really cool is that he has this Magic the Gathering card that's sitting on his desk, um, that he kind of keeps as a reminder of this whole thing. And I forget what the card is, but it's a Magic the Gathering. It's a dual land. It's like a red black land card, but it's specifically the flavor text on it. And the flavor text says, "Where ambition meets industry, passion is poisoned by greed." which is an extremely interesting piece of flavor text to have on a card in a game produced by Wizards of the Coast. So if you can measure a deep cover, yeah, like the irony of that flavor text on a card in the Magic the Gathering game issued by Wizards of the Coast is staggering. I'm easy. What do you want to do? Yeah, I'm done. Well, can we get on map to catch that though? Does it? Oh, prep starts in 15 minutes. Okay, that is true. Interesting. Tried to jump to Leyline Confluence is contested. That's rare. That almost never happens. Yeah. Makes you curious, doesn't it? Makes you curious, doesn't it? What's going on down there? What is going on at the Leyline conversions? There must be an event. There is an event. Could be a contest. Sweepstick. No, there is a boss down here. There is a champion jock that requires besting in order to. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, holy crap. I thought we had a mastery. True. Oh yeah, you have a mastery against chalk acid, but not champion chalk acid. Right. hmm So I think that's one of the other things that Josh was talking about is like, as people are like, oh, like when are you going to do worst MMO ever for World of Warcraft? And he's like, yeah, like that's just clickbait. That's an indication that I'm retiring. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do worst MMO ever created videos for WoW and Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14. That's when you know I'm basically going for pure clickbait cash and retiring. No, he's pretty cool. I like him. He is probably one of the. Mhm. Yep, I remember Otherland. It was dead. Yep. Right. There needs to be there needs to be a historical record. Yes. Yep. Is there? Okay. I have to go find those. I do not think I have seen that series. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. Mail it in. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like where do developers choose to spend their time when coming up with these sorts of things. Yeah. No, I totally get it, and that's why I said like coming up with a series, like sitting down doing a series that really just looks at systems, right? The way that games work, the designs of games. And like a good example is that whole thing around the map replay concept in Guild Wars. It's like they don't really do anything to advertise map replay. They don't necessarily go out of their way to encourage players to replay maps, but they've created a rather elaborate system that is documented but almost invisible in game, right? Other than when you look at the map screen and yeah, hover over tangled depths on the map screen, you're like, oh, there's a map bonus reward. Nothing to tell you about how you get it. There's nothing in game to explain any of it. There's nothing that tracks the points that you're generating on a map in order to get these bonuses. I don't think it was until these hot maps that they even came up with potions that can enhance the points that you generate to get those rewards. And it's like, why does nobody ask a question, right? Because I have it in my inventory. I have a potion, which is I have 7 potions of auric attunement. I have 2 potions of tangle attunement. In fact, if we're gonna, Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? Like obviously the points you generate from killing all of that stuff and working through the meta is significant. Having that auric attunement potion is going to basically advance you that much faster through the chain to get to 8,000. However many points. Nothing that tells you how many points that you're going to get, but okay. Hmm. Jumping puzzles. Oh, okay. Right. Right. Sure. I can totally get that. Hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Yep. And that's the thing. Like with Josh, like I have no idea what his background is. It seems that he's worked with a lot of companies, a lot of players. He's been in and around the gaming industry. In what capacity, I have no idea. But he does seem relatively knowledgeable about games, gaming, and the gaming industry. Okay. 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 Yeah. As most people have. Into his day job, yeah. Yep. I get the impression that he still does some real work. I don't know what his industry is or forte is, but it seems like he does do something. Okay. 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 Close enough, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, he runs a good channel. I don't, and maybe that's where I ran into him originally was when he was doing his Neverwinter stuff. Because there was a good era in Neverwinter when you could stream. Yep. Right. Yeah. I loved that game for years. Yeah. But then it turned. Exactly. Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that was the thing. Like when I first got into Neverwinter MMO, it was a great game. It really was. And it was fun and there was interesting stuff to do. It was grindy. Like it was a grindy game, but you enjoyed the grind for whatever it was, right? Like you understood what you were grinding for and you knew what it was going to take and you could do it. And it was good. And then it went south. And then it went south really hard. Like it just and even like for the people that were doing content, like they basically said like, Neverwinter content is dead. Like there's just nothing broadcastable to do in the game that is interesting. And that was really, sort of the overall death of it. And yeah, like you backed out of it. I kind of backed out of it. I still jump into it every once in a while. I'm interested in the new modules and things that they're doing, so I usually jump in for the first couple of days of a mod just to see what it is. But to be honest, never really got pulled back into the game enough to play it. Play it. It is that dead. Hmm. Yes. Yep. Hmm. Right. Yeah, that was the thing. They did these odd resets and other sorts of stuff. Yeah, now I know. Yeah, and that hasn't necessarily changed. But and again, it's a change of management. It's changes in ownership of stuff, changes in the director, and obviously they take a different vision, a different view of things to go. But yeah, there was some great aspects of that game. There was so much good stuff that just harked back to, our I remember our original days of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and the mind flayers, and the just so much stuff from the original campaigns and stuff that we played and things that they've incorporated into that game. The campaign that they brought out that was tied into very much that whole picture that was on the front of the player's handbook, the thief that was prying the gem out of the eye, like they managed to really tap into some of the core Dungeons and Dragons content and bring it to life in that game, and then they ruined it because of systems like the trying to retire some systems, trying to do certain things and influence different things. Yeah, they completely killed it. Nope. Spending money. Yeah. Yeah, and that was the thing, like, absolutely. And that's where I think, like, it became very clear that Neverwinter moved very quickly into a pay to win style game. And it's like but you could still grind it out. Like if you wanted to grind it out and not pay the money, you could do it. But it became that not fun grind. That was. Are you okay? I'm gonna do New Hawk Lane. Do we have people here to do this? But we got here early. That's what bugs me. Like we got in at the beginning of setup for this, and like nobody's here. That's a bit ridiculous. This is why I get upset about these festivals. It's like it seems to distract everybody's attention, and it's not worthwhile. And like I'm an achievement point guy, and obviously there are a lot of achievement points that are tied up in the festivals. Halloween is a big one. The Christmas is a big one. The Four Winds is huge. And I get it. Like there's some activities, there are some fun and interesting things that happen sometimes. And obviously as a achievement point completionist guy, I like to knock out as much as thing. And the thing is that there are some easy things to do. There are some fun things to do. There are some there are a lot of not fun things to do. And um the key piece is understanding it's like, oh yeah, you can do these things. There's a whole variety of things that you can do that are tied into generating achievement points. And so and I think actually it was at Christmas last year that I kind of figured out that, oh yeah, there's like a pile of achievement points there, and you don't necessarily realize the significant amount of achievement points that are sitting in the festivals. Because I originally went through and I started it at the winter festival last year, and I hammered out a ton of achievement points. And then I realized I got to the end of Winterfest last year and I was like, oh, It's not just that you can do these things and get 5 achievement points. You can repeat these things 5 times and get 25 achievement points. And so that was sort of the big discovery of why there was so much, kind of invested in generating the achievement points out of the festivals. Yeah, there's a lot of yeah, there's Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, but to get those, but also to get those, you need to do the events. You need to get the presents. You need to open the presents. You need to have stacks of candy canes and stacks of snowflakes and other things to turn in and collect the stuff that you need to unlock those things. Absolutely agree. The thing is that none of the skins and none of those sort of unlockable things give you achievement points. So, yeah, for sure. And in the process, I've unlocked a bunch of those as well. I totally have. Probably. I guess so. Unless you're an achievement point completionist like I am, in which case I'm just trying to drive out all the achievement points that I can. So, and yeah, and that's why like getting to the 20K was significant for me because that comes with you get a title. And you got a fat ton of loot at 20K. And then what was it? I saw somebody posted one of the top end ones recently. Let me see if I can quickly find that. Under screenshots. Somebody recently unlocked 35K. So, massive achievement chest at 35K. You get the title Exalted Achiever. You get 30 gold. You get 10 laurels. You get 400 gems. Plus 1% on luck. Plus 1% karma. Plus 2% XP. And then you get a choice of a pinnacle skin. So, yeah. So it looks like somebody in Comfy Dragons knocked that out because they popped a screenshot of achieving that one last week. So that's out there. Well, I got looks like I got close to 15 on New Hawk. We might this might be achievable. Yeah, we're fighting Chuck right now as well. We're at 80-ish%. I don't think we're taking it down in one round though. Why am I underwater? Holy crap! That was I didn't think it was that. Oh Jesus! it's sitting in deep water. I didn't realize we had deep enough water here that I could switch to my underwater equipment. That threw me off completely. Yeah, we're sitting at 62%. So it's not going as quick on this side, but it's definitely going to require a second round. I'm curious how well the other two lanes are doing, though. It's interesting that they went with 4 lanes on this one. That's another one that's like kind of interesting from a game design perspective. It seems that they've found the kind of the rule of 3 to be very effective in this game. Like when you look at Dragon Stand and a variety of other areas of content in this game. I'm curious why they chose to go with 4 on this one. Okay. Our chalk was probably just under 50%, and then it has now gone underground again. So we're going to have to redo the nodules. I'm assuming, but I don't see any popping up. Where are they? Nope, they're over. Yep. Really? God damn it. All right, 47%. Let's put a dent. Brutal. And I probably know why. Is that all lanes done? Yep, looks like it. Now we all get to sit and stare at the wall for 7 minutes. Provisioner's token. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. There's one of those guys there. Oh, that's true. That would be nice. Not seeing anything. Wow. An Equinox great sword skin. Turns out I already have it in my wardrobe. Sells for 103 gold. uh, Crap. I don't. That's just what's available for sale. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong side of the. Seems I already had it though. Where and how I unlocked that, I have no idea, but I have it already. It's not necessarily a bad skin. Is it? Are you there? Okay. Okay. Jumping. Hopefully I get there fast enough. Yeah. Yes, lots of time. I find people don't tend to go like super DPS on the treasure mushrooms, anyways. Yeah, you don't need to. Exactly. Ooh, I got a piece of bow. Bonus disassembly. Exactly. Mm-hmm. We all know bow. All right. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Oh, what are these containers? Like, what's an example of a gray container? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think most containers are affected by magic find, though, aren't they? Oh, okay. Huzzah! Really? Only 103%? That's the best of your evaluation here. Just two. You feel like, all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dragonstorm. I haven't done Dragonstorm in a while, actually. Might be a good one to try. Mhm. Only because I have a significance of incurring a reboot when I do Arc. Meta? So it looks like the 5000 series video cards got pushed into January, but I'm excited to see the reveal on that because I am definitely on the list for an upgrade. Which is a short way of saying release the goddamn thing because I'm buying one. Just fucking get it done. Tell me the price. I'm already sold. Gives me a chance to get caught up with some inventory items here. And, all right. Why isn't the bottle on your desk? Why isn't the bottle on your desk? That seemed like a long trip just to get another round of Talisker. I have bottles that just sit on my desk. I, but it's for me. It's like right there. I mean, I don't keep all of them here, but I'm working on the Bullet 10-year-old bourbon this evening, and I have it. It's here on my desk. I have a bottle of Lagavulin, and I've got a bottle of the Craiglachie single malt Scotch. So I'm covered in any emergency situation. First mile inbound. Pickering received at terminal. There's a chance your gift is getting delivered tomorrow. Because it appears to be in Pickering today. Or as of the 24th of December, it was in Pickering. It can't be that much harder to get it to you. A weather delay. All right. Okay. So I've sent you a trio of very drinkable whiskeys, and I'm excited to hear your reviews on them. Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Did you clear your cookies? Did you unplug it and plug it back in again? Okay. Well, if you didn't try that, it's, it's part of the support requirements. That's in my jurisdiction. Yeah, like I said, yours is in Pickering. Yeah, so yeah. So the first one, which is the main one, and it's so interestingly, Barry's sipping scotch, sipping whiskey is the Redbreast Irish whiskey. This so there's a Newfoundland whiskey that he also keeps, which is Signal Hill. I don't know if you've tried that one before, but I've shipped you a bottle of that. Yeah. So it's the Signal Hill Canadian whiskey. I consider that to be an excellent sipping whiskey. That is Barry's base for Manhattans. Um, I was trying to send you a different scotch, which again, like they when I talked to them, they were like, "Oh yeah, well, your order over committed us, and it's on back order." And for some reason, that one bottle being on back order held up the entire order. And so it was like, okay, well, let's switch that out. So I'm sending you a bottle of the Jura Origin 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey, which I consider to be an excellent single malt Scotch, especially at the price point in Canada of $61. It's yes, no, good whiskey. No, absolutely, yeah, no, it's good. So and then the last one is the Irish, and it's the Busker triple cask triple smooth, which I also found to be a very good whiskey. And I don't think you've tried that one either. So okay, so I think I did good there. So the other one I'm digging into, the other distillery, Eastern Ontario distillery that I've decided to dig into, because I met some of the folks that run it at our Christmas market. There's a Christmas market at the Lansdowne Stadium that does a pretty good job. As Christmas markets go, it's pretty decent. They have a very good Santa Claus there that the boys enjoy visiting, and they do some crafts and some other fun things. Uh, anyway, so a new distillery that I found called Dunrobin. Yeah, I definitely do not want to walk in until you've done Robin. So I appreciate the cue that you are done Robin, and I can come in now. Uh, so they are big on the traditional Canadian rye whiskies. So I'm looking forward to trying. And so I've ordered a bottle of the standard their artisanal rye whiskey is what they call it. They have two variations of the artisanal rye whiskey, which they call the Beaver Dram. So there is a sherry cask finish beaver dram, and there is a port cask finish beaver dram. And I've got a bottle of each of those coming in. And then the other big area that they're in is they're in the vodka. So they have an artisanal vodka, they have a potato vodka, and I've grabbed a bottle of each of those as well. So those should be entertaining to try out. It does. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Any moment we should be on for public Dragon Store. Public is open. I also have to admit, like over the course of drinking this 10-year bottle of the Bullet Bourbon, it has grown on me. I do like it. I still think I enjoy the original better. I don't know why. But it's like, yeah, Bullet Bourbon's Bullet Bourbon, and it's just a really good bourbon. Just it didn't need to age longer. It was good. And this one, it's sweeter. So I definitely wouldn't use it in a Manhattan. Maybe I should try it because I've got a bit of it left here. Maybe I'll knock out a dry Manhattan, a dry bourbon Manhattan with this one and see if it's any good. It's just another one. Like, just there's consistently good participation in this event. I've found that there's like anywhere between 3 and 5 Dragon Storms going on. Like, even we didn't end up in the same instance again this time. And I'm definitely in a full instance. I don't know about you. It looks like we're fine. We're fine. Yeah, no, no. No, I know. Properly populated. That's all you can ask for. That seems like the good old Bram to me. I agree. This is the best Bram has ever been. Why did we take this away? See, this is the biggest challenge of the world, right? Solving problems creates more problems. We solved the Bram problem only to create a bigger Bram problem later. This is peak Bram. Why did we need to stop this? I don't understand. It wasn't going to get any better. This is the summit of Bram. And then we completely fucked it. And then it's just chapter after chapter after chapter of dealing with Bram in this game. No, Bram persisted after the Dragon Storm, I'm pretty sure. He doesn't die after this. Okay. No, no, no. Well, he's not pretty. Yeah. No, no. I know. No, I know. But the problem is that like he is there after this, right? So that there is kind of the resolution of Ice Brood that includes more Bram. Bram being a dick. So that was a big part of it. Like this was not the end of Bram, but Bram as Primordus's puppet is peak Bram. So the problem is that we broke him out of the puppet mode, and he just became a bigger dick, Bram, which nobody needed. Oh shit! Get out of there! Nope. Damn it! That was funny. I don't remember what there was one night with the Comfy Dragons Guild. We were out doing something. There's a couple of people in Comfy Dragons that take stuff a little bit too seriously in this game. And I will fully admit that I have zero appreciation for people like that. And I think they were doing a thing where I guess they had begrudgingly decided to do some raid training, and so we were doing some of the kind of the raid one, raid wing one, wing two raids to kind of show the stuff, right? And I made this whole thing is like, you know, you need to stand outside the circles. I'm like, the red circles? He's like, yeah, you can't stand in the red circles. But I thought the red circles were where you're supposed to stand. And I pushed on this theme nonstop throughout the entire raid. I'm standing in the red circle. Don't stand in the red circle. Am I supposed to stand in this red circle or the other red circle? Do not stand in the red circles. But it's the red circle. Aren't you supposed to stand in the red circles? Why would they put a circle if you weren't supposed to stand in the circle? No, they put the circle so you don't stand in the circle. Why would you not stand in the circle? I went on and on with this for the for the whole session, and he got super angry. I no, it wasn't Epsilon. It was somebody else. He got very angry, and then eventually logged off. Yeah, I I I was impressed. Goal achieved. Best night ever. You're done? You're done? Oh wow. We're still we've got one more round of Bram and Ryland to do. The thing is, there's significant value to understanding mechanics in these games. And, I still question some of the things that they do from a development perspective. So, one of the things that I was noticing is, in World v. World, so, and we've noticed this in playing the chapter. For some reason, the creatures in Janthier have the darker red um, damage line, which is super annoying because it's harder to see because it's a dark red on a black background, and it's very difficult to see when you're finishing the damage on a creature. And I find in Janthier, more often than not, there's like a hit or two left on a creature, and I've no, you're done, and I'm switching targets because it's no, that looked like it was done or it should have been done, but it turns out it wasn't done. There was still a hit or two left, and I've already switched targets. So, and one of the things that I realized is that darker red on the black comes from World v. World. When you've got another player character downed and they're in their recovery phase, they have that darker red on black health bar until you finish them, right? And either you do the finishing move or you just incur enough damage that they are dead and have to respawn, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's where that darker red comes from. But why would you put it on the creatures in Janther? I don't understand why they chose to do it. Because it is unhelpful, completely unhelpful. And I think that is one of the detracting points to the Janthier expansion pack as well. It it is harder to gauge your damage and your activity on stuff there because of that particular, call it a feature. Uh, yeah, no, yeah, it's a bug or a flaw. No, I totally agree. But it seems to have been a very specific design choice in Janther that they've got the potentially. Bought. Well, this is probably a good spot, yeah, to call it a night. So I don't need to be up early or anything, which is nice for a change, but unfortunately, children don't have the same understanding of not needing to get up in the mornings. So I have that challenge to deal with for one more morning. And then tomorrow I am driving the fam to Montreal Airport, and they're going to make the trip back to Kazan, hopefully, not running into the same interference as an Azerbaijani flight to Russia ran into yesterday. No. So, and considering the fact that early in the week there was some significant drone attacks on Kazan by the Ukraine, which was a bit upsetting. I've made it clear to my wife, like, I am sending you into an active war zone, and I don't think it's a good idea. Well, we've had this booked, so I mean, it's booked as the chances are probably thin to none that something is going to go wrong, but it's obviously higher than usual that something could go significantly wrong. It's not none exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. Like, so, like, the problem is that the Middle East has turned into an absolute goddamn shit show, with Israel pretty much attacking everybody around them with impunity, Syria collapsing in on itself and being taken over by who really knows what that particular. Well, yeah, the thing is that there's one specific rebel group that is kind of taken control, and they want to reform a government with a few of the other rebel groups, but it seems like they don't have all of. Yeah, they haven't consolidated that everybody's necessarily come together. And I said, so the road into Russia is via Istanbul and Turkey, and it looks like Turkey is lining up to make some significant incursion slash attack on what is kind of the northeastern portion of Syria, which is where the Kurdish occupation has been sitting. And I said, like, so that's going on. Ukraine continues to be a hotbed of activity. So yeah, so they're going. Yeah, so they fly to Istanbul tomorrow night. spend a couple of days in Istanbul, and then do the follow-on flight from Istanbul to Kazan. Yeah, through multiple active war zones. Exactly. It's a shit show and a half. I'm like, okay, well, you know, eyes wide open, I guess. You know, there is a chance that things could go sideways, and that Azerbaijan flight seems to be an indication that it could go more sideways than you want to by accident. It's not like they're purposely trying to do this, but obviously they're. I yeah, true. So I think in the early reports that I saw, the claim was, and I don't know if it was, you know, the sort of the pilot's claim, or based on the radio traffic with the plane itself. It sounded like that they had taken on a bird strike, or maybe they thought it was a bird strike, and but not necessarily unprecedented. And if you look at the flight path on it, there's there's another there's a YouTube guy that it's a VTAC aircraft flight thing, that I follow, and they basically take, um, it's a combination of the flight, um, telemetry data that's being sent, and they also monitor the communications with the tower and stuff, and they recreate some of the stuff. So what was interesting is the flight was changing altitudes fairly frequently, so they weren't sure what was going on there. But they had radioed in, like, and this was like 25 to 30 minutes before the crash, that they had radioed in that they were trying to redirect because they thought that they had dealt with a bird strike, and needed to land, and that was why they redirected. Instead of going to Grozny in Russia, they had redirected to another Kazakh airport. Right. Yes. And GPS and other things, yeah, were kind of fuzzy. Yeah. But then, right, it was obvious that there were some control issues on the aircraft based on the attitude of the aircraft and the way that it kind of crashed. Definitely surprising that almost 30 people survived the crash. But there has been suggestions that there was potentially some Russian anti-aircraft artillery, because of drone activity that happens fairly regularly in that corridor, may have, if there was an initial problem, may have made the problem worse, or may have caused the problem itself. So yeah, a yeah, that's typically, yeah, that is true. Uh, right. So I'm going to draw on my experience from back when I was in university, and one of my uh, so I remember, right when I was in high school and university and stuff, I used to work as a temp. So one of the temp jobs that I had when I was down in Kitchener Waterloo when I was going to Laurier was, for Raytheon. They have a different name now, but they were acquired by somebody. But anyway, so Raytheon was specifically working on the ground-based systems for Patriot missile project, and so there was two things that I worked on. So one was they were doing an upgrade of the chipset. So it was the MIPS chipset that was running the ground systems for Patriots. They were doing an upgrade of the chipset, so we were basically testing and rehashing the code to work with the new upgraded chipset on Patriot. And then the other thing that they had was the onboard missile systems that they were working on for Seahawk missiles. But anyways, that's beside the point. So focusing on the Patriot, yes, the whole concept of the missiles in any sort of anti-missile, anti-aircraft type system is large scale shrapnel proximity based explosions in order to deter those things. And so essentially what the ground system does is it detects launches based on a variety of different radar and potentially air-based systems, and then it calculates based on speed and trajectory of that missile launch where it's going, and then it tries to do something to send an interception missile at a particular point and create a detonation that is within a range to cause a significant disruption to the potential target of that missile launch. That's essentially how it works. So yes, I totally agree. And I also saw the photos and the videos of the kind of the shrapnel pieces and stuff. But the thing is that if there was engine intake of a bird, there's a significant amount of fragmentation that typically happens within the engine that would cause exactly the same patterns on the side of the plane, because it obliterates the fins and stuff in the engine when the bird gets in there. That there's a whole bunch of fragments and pieces that fly out of the back end of the engine that could potentially do a very similar pattern of, almost bullet like holes. This was so the filming that I saw, the footage that I saw, was specifically of the tail section where they were rescuing people that survived the crash. And so, yeah, on the tail section of the plane, you could potentially see shrapnel style, you know, bullet holes happening if it was a bird strike. It could come out that way. So who knows? Most of the front side of the plane was completely obliterated because of the way that it went right into the ground. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But apparently they have the black boxes. They have another, they have other bunches of things that they can do from an evidentiary perspective. I some of the reporting from Reuters was that Russia did take some, or they announced that they had potentially shot at this plane, thinking that it was something else. Um, but yeah, and that is some of the potential mishaps that can happen if you decide to redirect yourself, because now you're running on a flight path that you weren't supposed to be. And so obviously people manning those things are like, hey, we shouldn't have a plane here. Is this a drone? I would think that a full passenger aircraft, and I think that was a Brazilian plane. And yeah, it was an Embraer Brazilian aircraft. That should be noticeably significantly larger than a typical drone. That, yeah, yeah, true. No, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of interference. Yeah, so it's challenging. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not super comfortable with this whole adventure, but we'll see what happens. And then they're not coming back into March, and it sounds like Trump's going to have this all solved by March, so getting home should be easier, right? Yeah, exactly. Mr. Yeah, Mr. Trump, who literally has zero successes to his name and is definitely setting himself up for dozens more failures